Social pressure by members of one's peer group to take a certain action, adopt certain values, or otherwise conform in order to be accepted. His behavior was affected by drink and peer pressure. Synonyms: to go with the flow, do what everyone else is doing. 28% of teenagers who have given into peer pressure admitted that their social status improved. 70% of teenagers smoke because their friends do. 2/5 of 8th graders were pressured into drinking, as were 2/3 of 10th graders. 30% of teenagers have shoplifted because their friends told them to. Over 50% of teenagers have had alcohol. 40% have tried drugs. Peer pressure doesn't have to be as dramatic as, say, sneaking into a school and stealing a maintenance cart. It can be as simple as seeing a movie you know you should see or going to the beach when you don't want to. If you do something you are not comfortable with because you felt pressured, it's peer pressure. If your friends pressure you into something they know you don't want to do, are they really your friends? Real friends would respect your decisions and would not try to put you in a situation uncomfortable for you. Neither would a boyfriend or girlfriend. You should not feel obligated to do anything you don't want to while in a relationship. I'm not sure if anyone remembers, but there's an episode of That's So Raven where Corey was pressured into the 5-finger discount, aka shoplifting. He knew it was wrong, yet he still did it to be with the popular group. Luckily, he had his big sister Raven looking out for him and pushing him towards doing the right thing. I know it may be hard to say no in situations. You don't want to look like a loser or a goodie. You just want to fit in with everyone else. I know for the majority of our sophomore class, we've only met our friend group in freshman year, so we may not be as comfortable saying no to them as we would someone we've known our whole lives. When faced with peer pressure, think about your future and how it will affect you. Will this be a big issue, or will you be grounded for a week? Will this end up on your transcript? Will this stop you from getting into the college you want or your dream job? I know it may be hard to think about that if someone's passing you a bottle, but just stop and think about how this choice will domino affect your life. I know the term peer pressured is associated with the negative meaning, but there are good kinds of peer pressure, and I don't mean the high you get when you're breaking the rules or when you're drinking with friends. The good kind of peer pressure is when you are pushed to try new things that are legal and won't get you in trouble. When you're pushed to step out of your comfort zone, like trying sushi for the first time. That's a good kind of peer pressure. When you're pushed to broaden your horizons and become open to new cultures and activities and foods, and it's in no way hurting you, you're experiencing a positive effect of peer pressure. There's a scene in The Princess Diaries where the queen tries a corn dog for the first time. Her granddaughter might have pushed her to do it, but the Queen of Genovia enjoyed her taste of American food. Whether it's good or bad peer pressure, never be the person to do the peer pressuring. If you're trying to convince one of your friends to do something and they're hesitant about doing it, stop pressuring them. You may not even be aware of what you're doing, but just allow your friends to make their own decisions, because you'd want them to let you make your own choices. A lot of kids actually feel the peer pressure coming from their parents just as much as their friends. Have you ever been compared to a sibling or even to a younger version of your parents? You hear, "Why can't you be more like your brother? Your sister never did that. When I was your age," and so much more. You felt pressured to impress your parents and to break free of the shadow they keep you in. Peer pressure can also come from teachers and coaches. Teachers and coaches always try to motivate us to be the best we can be. However, the pressure from trying to get straight A's and be the best on the field can be stressful. There's always room for improvement, so it's like you always have to get better and better. But as long as you keep a healthy balance, you'll be fine. Ashley Long, a 14-year-old girl, actually died from peer pressure. She went out to a party and drank with her friends. Sometime in the night, people started to suck in helium from a helium tank. It was Ashley's turn and she didn't want to do it, but everyone pressured her into it. She passed out because the helium caused a blood vessel to pop and later died in the hospital. Peer pressure seems to be like a standard myth that every adult warns you about, but it's a very real thing. Many teenagers, probably including you, have been peer pressured one way or another. The important thing is to think about what you're doing and say no if you have to. Saying no seems easier said than done, but if you say it firmly and show that you're not kidding, the person should back off. If the peer pressuring continues, continue to say no. Teenagers have very small attention spans, so if you say no enough times, the person will give up. If your friends are peer pressuring you, tell them how you feel. Chances are they don't even know they're pressuring you into doing something you're not comfortable with. And if they keep doing it, maybe they aren't your real friends. Just remember to always follow your intuition. It'll tell you what's right. In regards to the peer pressure possibly coming from your parents, you should talk to them about how you're not your sibling or how you're not the kid your mom or dad was. In general, parents just want the best for their kids, so telling them how you feel will give them a perspective of where your head is at. Don't confuse the negative peer pressure for the positive effects. If the peer pressure is to push you to ride a roller coaster you're afraid of, then it's the good kind. If you're being pressured to steal a car, then that's the bad kind. If you're afraid to tell your priest and grandma what you did, then it's probably the negative peer pressure. Peer pressure. Noun. Social pressure by members of one's peer group to take a certain action, adopt certain values, or otherwise conform in order to be accepted. Just do what you want to do and stop falling victim to peer pressure.